Am I a jerk? Basically, the answer is, to the jerk part, yeah. But it's kind of useful to be a jerk. Okay, what I am is not exactly insulting, but irreverent. Irreverent means without reverence. And it's important to be without reverence when reverence is being used as a distraction, when reverence is being used to hide misinformation. I'm not being insulting. I'm not saying anything about anybody's mother, your mama. I'm not saying anything about your nose, your diet, your weight, your hair color, your hairdo. I'm talking about ideas. We're discussing ideas, okay? Okay, but don't I use a lot of bad language, and don't I have pretty bad manners? Yeah, I do. Part of that is just the person I am. You know, I'm a New York guy, I'm an Italian guy, and I'm a punk rocker. So give me a break. Of course, I'm not going to be Miss Manners. But the other thing is, a lot of what I'm doing with this bad language, irreverence, and all that junk is intentional. Because there's nothing that I hate more than a wolf in sheep's clothing. What do I mean by wolf in sheep's clothing? These are people who imitate spirituality or imitate humility, good manners, and things like that as a tool to manipulate information, to manipulate resources, and most of all, to control and manipulate power. There's nothing that's more wrong than that. It's much, much, much better, in my opinion, to be frank. Deal with the issues directly and honestly. Don't prance around hiding behind the smoke and mirrors of humility and hierarchy or position. How dare you? If something seems wrong to me, then I say it directly. If you see it differently, then you should do the same thing. Then we can discuss this. But what happens most of the time, a lot of the time, when somebody says, oh, this is wrong, I see this, I think this is wrong, then the opposite party who's being criticized doesn't say, no, this is why it's right. Instead, they just go to this whole thing like, how dare you say that? Look at the way he said this. He used bad language and bad manners. Yeah, okay, but what about the thing that I said? It's just diversion. It's a diversionary tactic. And what do diversions really say? That they don't really have the true article. So, I apologize that I am very, very direct. But that's the way I am, and that's the way I'm going to be. Because I don't like people hiding. I'm going to say what I think is wrong, and then let's discuss it. Don't start talking about me. Don't start talking about my manners or anything. Talk about the issue at hand. Now, another thing that people seem to think I'm on some kind of a crusade. People say, you're on a crusade to prove the sidereal thing wrong. So look, I'm not on a crusade. All right, I'm just defending my own position against the illogical claims that it's wrong. I am not saying that other systems don't work. So why do you keep saying if it's wrong, then how does it work? I'm not saying that it's wrong, and I'm not saying that it doesn't work. And I am not saying that only my system is right. I'm saying that my system is not wrong. Since my very first video in 2012 on this topic, I've always said that good and accurate work can be done even without having the correct definition of the zodiac. And the reasons that I've always given since 2012 is that many factors in the chart are not affected at all by the starting point of the Rashis. For example, the distance between the planets is the same, regardless of where they are in the zodiac. The distance between them is the same. Therefore, aspects are always the same. The distance between the planets and the ascendant, the relationship between the planets and the ascendant is always the same. So tons of things, therefore, are always the same, or very close to the same. The distance between the planets and the house cusps is the same regardless of your zodiac. The placement of the planets in the nakshatra, right? Because I'm saying that the nakshatra are sidereal. So there's plenty of things which are the same. And besides that, there's also a whole lot of factors that go into an astrological reading that have nothing to do with calculations. So the rightness or wrongness of a calculation doesn't make a system work or not work. Okay? What I'm discussing is the rightness or wrongness of a calculation. Whether or not you can make it work with a wrong calculation is up to you. So just to be clear here, I am not saying that other people their systems don't work, their astrology is bogus. I'm saying that this calculation of the starting point of the zodiac is supposed to be tropical. That's all I'm saying. Okay, now let's just look at one or two more responses on this particular subject. One of the responses is that astrology is observational. It's not a calculation. This is partly correct, but astrology is based upon calculations made from observational astronomy. Observational astronomy means based on your point of view as an observer standing on the earth. So because perception is always relative. Perception is not objective. Perception is relative. So if you're standing in one place, then something seems to be far away. You perceive it that way. If you're standing in a different place, it seems to be close. If you're in a car and the car next to you is moving forward, your perception is that you're moving backwards. Perception is relative. So the perceptual center for the observational astronomy involved in astrology is from our observational basis on Earth. That's why the Earth is described as a flat plane. That's why the sun is described as going around the Earth, etc. Because these are observational statements, not objective statements. It does not mean that there are no calculations involved in observational astronomy. Astronomy always involves calculations. People that think that it's just exactly what you can see, that's observational astronomy. They'll say, just look up at the sky and you'll find the planet and see what constellation it's in, and that's it. So see, it's sidereal. So let me just show you two observations that I made just this morning. This observation here is using the program Stellarium, which is a planetarium software, to look at the sky, and it shows you the position of the moon. You see where it is? It's in Libra, right? Now, here's a screenshot from Parashar's light with the setting to Lahiri Ayanamsha Sidereal. Where's the moon? Is it in Libra? No, it's not. So do you know why? It's because the actual constellations that are out there are 13. There's 13 of them on the path of the planets. They're not of equal size. But the rashis that you use in a sidereal system or tropical system are 12, equally sized. So it is not purely observational, just what you see. It's calculations based on what you see. Another thing that people have said in regards to the topics that I'm bringing up is that, hey, astrology is a super science. So fine, I noted that before, right? That there's a lot more that goes into an astrological reading than just the calculations. But what people seem to be saying by saying, like, astrology is a super science, so you shouldn't concern yourself at all with the science, is ridiculous. Super science, super means more than. Super good doesn't mean that it's not good. It means that it's even more than good. Super science doesn't mean that it's not science. Super science means that it has science as its basis and it goes beyond that. So the scientific calculations of astronomy, from an observational point of view, are the foundation upon which the super science of astrology makes its interpretations. People will complain, well, you're talking about Surya Siddhanta, but Surya Siddhanta is astronomy and we're talking about astrology. Well, what the hell is astrology? Astrology is the interpretation of the placements of the planets in the signs and so forth, right? So it's an interpretation of the astronomical situation. That's why Jyotish has a Ganika and a Hora division. They're both Jyotish. Ganika is the astronomy and Hora is the astrology, the interpretation. If you don't have calculations, what do you interpret? It's like saying, I'm going to give you a tarot reading, but I don't have a deck of cards. So if you don't have accurate calculations, then what are you interpreting? You're interpreting inaccurate calculations. Can you still do a good job with that? Sure you can. You can still do a good job with that, especially because your calculations are not entirely inaccurate. There's one aspect of them that's inaccurate. Then the final thing is, people say that this is like a battle of egos or something. Hey guys, this might be a battle of egos for you. Atmavan manyate jagat. People see things according to their own mental structure. But it's not a battle of egos, right? There's a battle about ideas. Please don't be, if I can please make a request, please don't be one of these people that sees this as me on some battle for prestige. If I wanted prestige, I would be kissing people's asses. That gets you prestige a lot more better than slapping them in the face. An ego. Yeah, if I wanted to be ego, then I would want other people to praise me so I wouldn't criticize them. Okay, reputation. You think I'm going to go out of my way to make myself look like an argumentative jerk if I want to have a good reputation? So this is not about ego, prestige, or reputation. It's about a simple issue. The issue is, where is 0 degrees Aries? So all I'm going to ask you to do is go and look at vicdecara.com/tropical. Okay, I'll put the link below this on YouTube. Go and look at it and just carefully look through the videos and the articles that I posted there. And just try to consider the information directly. And forget about what it means politically or socially or all that crap. Just think about it in its own right. And don't divert it into other topics. That's all I'm asking. Okay? Thank you. See you next time from this informal corner of the room. Hare